Hi, I'm Christine Kim. I go to Richfield Memorial High School and I'm a junior. I have a question about the LEAD program. Is there something that's not existent anymore? Is LEAD like just another name for it, or is it
You
something?
want to know the difference, right?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good question.
That's a good question. We felt the need for having a more comprehensive approach. It was imperative that I mentioned earlier that the curriculum we use in the school is evidence-based and proven effective. And so we're proud that we have a curriculum with over 20 different curriculums that have various testing that's proven effective K to 12. We also felt it was necessary to train all police officers on the street and bring it more focused on the whole police agency rather than an officer. So it's not just a lead officer, it's a lead department, it's a lead agency. So it's a more comprehensive approach. There is still DARE out there, but we're in 16 states and growing rapidly because of the need for having a proven effective curriculum. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessica Yoon and I go to school in Englewood.
My name is Christine Yim. I am a junior and I currently attend Fort Lee High School. I did have a question. So, from the shooting in Florida, there has been word about an event. It's like a peaceful walkout in schools, and I'm not sure of the exact date, but I think it's in 2 days, March 14th and April 20th. So basically what this is at 10 a.m. in schools. Students, teachers, and parents are allowed to leave the building for 17 minutes, each minute representing each of the victims. My question was if you think this would bring awareness to the government and like how effective this might be.
I'm not personally aware of the walkout. I don't know if it's a state or national movement, but maybe Mr. Kassane, who's the president of the school resource officer, should know about it. And if not, we're going to research it after tonight.
So yes, I'm familiar with it. So you made a comment there that was just a little bit inaccurate. You're right about this movement, a national movement. You're right about it's in some ways a protest that was started in Parkland, Florida, as a result of the recent shooting. However, it's not that anyone's being given permission to do it. So I can't speak for the school district. So I'm a big believer in our constitutional rights. I really am, and this is probably more important for the parents here. However, our rights come with responsibilities. So yes, you have the right to peacefully assemble. You have the right or freedom of speech, but yet you can't scream fire in a movie theater because it can cause a stampede. So while I agree that it's great to see students empowered, I don't know that disrupting your educational day is the right way to do it. There's plenty of time in the rest of the day, there's plenty of times on the weekend, there's plenty of opportunities to express your views, no matter what they are. So I don't know that, I don't agree with the fact that that disrupting your educational day, because the bottom line is that schools only have X number of days in the year to get in everything that you need in order to finish your school year effectively. So I don't know how a school, right now there's a lot of talk on the internet, and I'm very familiar with it. There's a lot of rumors. You may have students in your school that are trying to organize it. I agree with free speech. I agree with peaceful protests, but I just don't agree with the fact that that it should be in the middle of a day when you're supposed to be learning. And I don't know that that's you know, a lot of students were killed when they should have been just doing like what you guys do, just go to school and be good people and grow up to be good citizens. I don't know that any of them would agree with disrupting your school like their school was disrupted. And obviously, I'm not comparing one to the other, but I think there's other ways to protest. My own children, if they told me they were doing that, I would ask them not to. I think that there's other ways to peacefully protest, but that's yet to be seen. And I don't know that every student would have the same intentions in leaving the building. So I don't think everyone would leave. I'm certain that the teachers that are paid to be there, the staff that are there, would not want people to lose out on any learning time. I don't know for how long that would be and how much that would affect the school's response to it as far as making up that lost time. So I don't know if that answers your question. Does it?
Yeah, I was just asking for like an opinion on what this protest, on how you view this protest.
Well, I agree with students being empowered for whatever the topic is. I agree with peaceful protest. I agree with your your right to free speech. I don't agree with disrupting your education to get your message across. There's plenty of other times in the day. There's weekends. There's plenty of public parks. There's plenty of ways to organize a peaceful protest without disrupting the school environment. And arguably, depending on the number of kids, the sidewalks aren't that big. There's not a lot of area to unload. Even when we unload the school for a security drill or a fire drill, it's done in an orderly fashion. It's done so. My opinion is that there's a time and place for everything, and I like that kids are empowered to express their views. But I don't agree that it should disrupt an educational environment. I don't believe it should happen during a school day.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hold on, I think we're still on the topic.
I have a question for you. Okay, first of all, I agree with the chief with regards to, you know, taking the time out of the school day. What's the cause? What's the protest?
I believe it was for the awareness of the government to change laws about the gun, regarding gun laws.
So it's totally gun violence.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you, and I probably shouldn't go here. Safety in the schools, right? Schools should be a sanctuary, right? It should be like, almost like a religious church thing. Now, obviously state church. You should go to school and feel safe. As obviously, I don't think there's a parent, an elected official, a government official, a police officer in this country that doesn't want every student to be safe, right? The question is the, you know, it comes down to, and I'm gonna give up the microphone of this, is the gun what killed the people, or is it the person who killed the people? Right? I mean, that, you know, I carry a gun. I have a license to carry a gun in the state of New Jersey. I opt not to 99% of the time because I'm a retired police officer, and I'm not a gun guy, okay? But you know, Chief Kasane's carrying a gun right now because he's a police officer. He's working. Chief Kugler probably has his gun. So the question is, you know, these are all bright, well-educated professionals who are armed with guns, okay? So can anyone get their hands on it? It's an interesting debate, but I think the bottom line is government have an obligation to keep schools safe. And that's why Pat Kasane, in his job as president of SROs, worked very hard to keep those schools safe. You know, so I'm not here to debate on, you know, because I'm a retired police officer, so I carry a gun, right? But it's an interesting topic, and we could be here all night. Here's Pat.
Let me just say one last thing, if you don't mind. So let me just mention one last thing. If you followed the news on what happened with those students, there was a fire alarm set off to have the kids exit the building, to exit their classrooms. Does everyone know that? If you haven't heard that, they set up a fire alarm. So from a logical point of view, and this is mostly for the parents, are your students safer in the building, or are they less safe if they're leaving the building for even if it's a peaceful protest? Is it not possible that there are people out there that could look at this as an opportunity to do something as well? So my feeling is, I believe you're safer in the building during the day, and I think that there are other ways to prepare and to have a peaceful protest under safer conditions. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Let me just end it with this. Your protest, I'm not saying it's your protest, but this national protest theme. We are a society of rules, society of laws. Students can't just pick up and walk out. If there is some type of passion about an issue, a need to bring attention to, you gather as a student body, student council, you bring it forth to the administration of the school system, and then the school will tell you, allow you, or tell you you cannot. And then if they tell you you cannot, you must listen to that rule. You know, we don't want students just picking up, walking out of school and thinking they can do what they want. We are a society, we are a system of laws and rules. And just like you are sitting in the classroom getting educated tomorrow, you can't just walk out of that classroom at 10 o'clock and exit the building, because there'll be consequences for that. So doing it the right way is no problem, but doing it in a way that encourages people to do unlawful or unruly things isn't good. Thank you for your question, Christine. This took a half hour to answer.
I have one thing. I have a house in Vermont, okay? So my family lives up there because my kids go to private school in Vermont. You know, in Vermont, you can carry a gun at 18 years old without a permit. And in public, you can put it on your belt. You can walk around town as long as you're 18 years old. My wife's friend's kid, he went to meet us at he was 18 years old. He walked up to my car and he handed me something to meet him, and he had a 9mm in his waist. And I said, Leif, you know, do you really need that? He goes, I have a right to, and I'm going to carry it. We live in New Jersey. We have strict laws in New Jersey. You know, I'm a retired police officer. I got to qualify twice a year, and I got to pay a fee, and I got to go through a background check. In some states, you got to be 18, and you can carry a gun anywhere you want. So there's different issues in different states. Next.
Hello, my name is Joseph Yoon, and I came from Paramus High School. I have a question about the Florida shooting. So I heard that the shooter posted social media posts about how he liked killing animals, and he posted pictures and videos of guns. And it was even reported to the FBI, but the FBI just ignored it. So how do you think the FBI really perceives the difference between the real killers and the jokesters? Because the FBI just ignored it because they thought it was just a joke, and it was just another guy just pranking the social media, the social world. So how do you think they perceive the difference?
So that's a tough question to answer. It's a good question. We don't know. So what happened in that investigation? I don't know the particulars of how the FBI allegedly dropped the ball, so to speak. But I believe that they came out with a statement saying that that they didn't investigate and they were aware of the information. Sometimes you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if the information, and it's important, and I know that we tell you guys this all the time, if you see something, say something. The issue is that it should be, if you see something, say something, and we'll do something. We're not perfect in law enforcement. We're human. We do make mistakes. Some of them turn out to be tragic mistakes. Some of them turn out to be not so tragic. When it comes to behavioral threat assessments, on targeted violence, it's a very difficult to determine if somebody might do something in the future, just because they say something. But by the same token, I would argue that that these types of threats are carried out to a conclusion of a thorough investigation. And I can tell you that the Fort Lee Police has had dealt with threats in the past, not necessarily to the school, but threats in general. And we are very aggressive in our investigation to make sure that possibly the person who's making the threats doesn't have weapons or isn't, or somebody in the house doesn't have weapons. So I'm sure the FBI doesn't feel good about it. I'm sure nobody, I know I don't feel good about it. But we're not, nobody's perfect, and I know they're gonna probably do a lot, try a lot harder to do a better job next time. So that's all I can say on that.
Thank you.
My name is Jin Won Kim, one of the board director. I'm a CPA for 30 years in New York. I like to add one to the student and one. I'm going to ask one question to panelists. When I do tax return for my client, I know Korean people work so hard for their children. We are spending a lot of time and effort, and I try to save money for my people. When I do tax return, if you go to the college, you pay the tuition and expenses for the college. What they call, we have education credit. To get the education credit, there's some questions they are asking. Have you ever convicted? And I have to say yes or no. If I say yes, the education credit will be denied. We are talking about $2,500 every year for 4 years. We mean $10,000. So if you ever convicted, you're gonna lose $10,000 out of your parents' pocket. So I wanna add that thing, just in case. And I hope you spread this word to your friends. Never try to be convicted. When I was young in our country, I was told that young people learn by mistake. But in USA, it's very hard to accept that, never try to be convicted. And another question to Nick. Nowadays, there's a big issue about marijuana legalization. We are very worried about things because that trend gonna be, influenced young people think marijuana is okay, and I'm worried about it. So, as a drug prevention movement, do you have any plan how we want to teach people, young people, marijuana is dangerous?
Sure. Got it. That's an excellent point. And it's been, I'll give you a little historical. One of the reasons why LEAD was formed was because another organization took marijuana out of their curriculum because they didn't feel it was age appropriate for certain grade levels. It is very important, and we're addressing this situation right on. Our position is very specific from a law enforcement agency. We oppose any legalization of any psychoactive substance. And that's the buzzword today, psychoactive substance, not just marijuana, it's any psychoactive substance that can affect the way your mind works or your body works. So we are opposed to that in its entirety. Now, this is the problem. If it becomes legal, and we're looking at it because we're sitting in New Jersey. It's already legal in 9 states, okay, and about 4 states where LEAD is doing business in. And it's more important, and I had this discussion with the chief of staff of an assemblyman from New Jersey today. If it becomes legal, and we're opposed to it, but we don't make the laws, right? If it becomes legal, there has to be a focus to ensure that the youth in our state are protected. Obviously, we're proposing the utilization of evidence-based drug prevention curricula to help accomplish that. But we saw an uptick in marijuana usage, and the statistics show that when the whole medicinal marijuana came through and came to fruition. And that's another issue too, you know, having having a house in Vermont. My wife is a legal resident of Vermont, and she was dealing with psoriasis, and the doctor actually offered her medical marijuana. And she said, my husband will never let me smoke marijuana in my house. And she's right, okay? However, medicinal marijuana is one thing, but recreational for fun is another. You know, there are people that medicinal marijuana may be very helpful, and it may be proactive. It's like having a pill or taking a medication to help you. So you have to, you know, weigh the whole opportunity. But recreational marijuana, you know, there's enough vices in this country. You know, there are enough. There's alcohol, there's tobacco, you know, there's marijuana, and I just, my concern is this. This is my own opinion, not Lead's opinion. I was at an event with a politician. It was at the Yankee Stadium. And I was at an event, I won't name the politician. And I said to him, he started getting into the debate with me over the legalization. I said, so do you like the smell of marijuana? And he goes, I've never smoked marijuana. I said, you never smoked marijuana, but you're promoting legalization of marijuana? He said, I'm not doing it, it's all about money. It's about making money, the state's broke. I said, so you're willing to put residents in harm's way over money? And he said, absolutely. Absolutely. He says, and also as a prosecutor, I've seen people go to jail for small amounts of marijuana, and it's not fair. I said, well, that's a whole different issue. And I'm not going to get into the debate of decriminalization. But it's sad that we live in a society, and you know, with all due respect, young lady, guns kill, right? Marijuana kills too. Drugs kill. It's you know, you can be here all day. We can debate everything, every social ill tonight, right? But the bottom line is, I don't think that legalization of marijuana does anything. But I will tell you, if I was my gut here, and Pat and Chief can say it, my gut, we're going to see it in New Jersey. And I knew it was over when it, you know, I was talking with a policy expert out of Washington, D.C., who said to me, the for or against marijuana issue, that train has left the station. It's really left the station. Now we got to look at it and how we're going to deal with it. And that's the sad part about it. You're right, it's tough.
I know I speak for a majority of law enforcement, if not most of it, and the legalization issue is, you know, we're against it, but if it does occur, I think it broadens and it more puts concentration on programs that we have, whether it be drug prevention and education for younger students, or school resource officers to engage in community policing programs. You, I said it before, you have the choice. You want to light a marijuana cigarette, you want to drink a pint of alcohol, that's up to you to do. But first be armed with the information to make logical and good decisions for your body, for your families, and for your community. Next question.
Hi, my name is Dennis Hahn, and I'm a sophomore at Ramsey High School. And my question is, if marijuana should be illegal, then what's the justification for letting tobacco and alcohol be legal?
Thanks, Chief. That's a great question, you know? It is a great question. You know, if you want to look back, I wasn't alive then, thank God. But you look back to the prohibition issue and how legalized alcohol has. I guess it comes down to, do we need more? I mean, seriously, do we need another type of alcohol or another type of tobacco? Do we really need that? I guess that's the most common sense way of looking at it. You know, is enough enough? You know, we can debate that marijuana is not as bad as alcohol. We can debate, but you know, obviously it's smoking, so it's very similar to tobacco, the same lung, same ramifications of smoking. I will tell you that I had a friend of mine who was a doctor, who was addicted to marijuana. Okay, and I will also tell you that it hurt his practice, and it probably today, later on, he's in his 70s now, and he was making $300, $400, $500